Welcome to the Great Tech Debate, episode number 10. We hit the double digits. We're in the big time now. And I guess that's not really an accomplishment. 10's not very much, but what the heck. Anyway, Great Tech Debate is a show where we basically have three guests, and we kind of go around the table. Each person brings a debate topic to the table, and we debate about them, go to the next one, and we just kind of have fun with it. And sometimes it could get ugly, which is when we really have a good time, but we'll see how it goes here. With me today on the show, we have Rob, who is post-diction in the chat room here. And Rob, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from?
I'm from Chicago. I don't own a computer shop as the rest of these guys, but I'm just passionate about computers and just wanted to come on to the Great Tech Debate. And basically, I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah,
I'm glad to have you here. Thanks for coming on. And we got Steve McLaughlin, who's Door-to-Door Geek.
Hello, guys.
And you guys should definitely know him from just Podnutz shows and doortodoorgeek.com and in the Podnutz forums and the Podnutz Lounge. He's omni. What's the word where you're present everywhere?
Omnipresent, I think.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Omnipresent.
That sounds right.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Door-to-Door Geek.
No problem.
And we're going to call Steve Door-to-Door Geek for the show just because there's three Steves on the line.
Right now it's the Steve trifecta.
Yeah.
And the voice you just heard is the other Steve. It's Steve D'Amico from Nuts at Night fame and other Podnutz fame as well. Say hello, Steve.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, well, why don't we start with Rob here? I'm just picking randomly. Let's start with Rob's topic, and then we'll kind of go around the table here. So, Rob, what is your debate topic for today?
Okay. Well, like many other techies, I have multiple computers in my apartment, and I want a centralized backup and fault tolerance. So I've been mulling around this idea of whether to go with a hardware RAID with a dedicated, RAID controller, or should I just go with the software RAID? I know when my hard drive died, you had I forget the host's name, but he was on there and he was talking about like RAID 6 hardware RAID, and I looked into that, and that's very, very expensive. So currently I'm thinking about going with software RAID, but I just thought, I just wonder what other people are doing.
Well, I don't have a RAID set up, but I'm remembering what the interview was I did with Scott Moulton from My Hard Drive Died. It was the last episode. I think he recommended 6, but I remember probably episode number 1 or 2 where we talked all about RAID. I'm not sure. He said, I think he said 5 was the one that he preferred, and that's probably a lot cheaper, I think. But do any of you guys know?
I think it was either 5.1 or 5.0, something like that.
Do you guys use RAID? The other two Steves?
I think it was 5 or 6, and no, I don't use RAID.
No, if you really want my true opinion on RAID is that it's horrible and it's a false sense of security. When it's hardware RAID, if the hardware card dies, it's near impossible for a normal person to get that information back unless you can get the exact same make and model hardware card.
Right. That's one of my apprehension, to going with hardware RAID. But software RAID is pretty sweet because if you set it up in let's say XP can do software RAID, but you can also do it like Windows Home Server also has a different type of software RAID. But if you set it up that way, you can literally take the hard drives out of the box and put it into a separate box that's functioning, and it'll be able to read it.
Right. Yeah, or if you do just a bunch of disk, it's very easy to get your data back.
Wait a minute.
Drobo.
Well, that's JBOD, and then there's Drobo.
Yeah, JBOD.
There's Drobo.
That's right. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Drobo's nice. It's just so expensive.
That's what I heard. Well, Rob, let me ask you, or anybody who knows this, does Windows XP have just native RAID software that you could use, or you have to buy a third-party thing?
No, I haven't set this up myself, but I'm pretty sure this Windows XP has this situation where if you have 2 equal-sized partitions, you can set them up to be in a RAID 1 or a RAID, and if you have more, you can do RAID 5 configuration.
Okay.
So
I think it also depends on which RAID you're talking about, too, right? I mean,
yeah.
What we got RAID 0, which is that's a mirror, or is that not a mirror? RAID 0.
I don't believe that's a mirror.
Okay.
No, I think that doubles the speed, and I think it's the worst one for data backup.
Right, and then RAID 1 is basically a mirror, I think. And then RAID 5 is what does it use, like an algorithm to try to just separate them all into 3 different separate drives. So if one fails, you still have your stuff. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I mean, the only real advantage of RAID 5 over RAID 1 is that you get to retain more of your hard drive space. Because with RAID 1, you're always just having whatever you have, right? Like if you got two 1 gig hard drives, you can only use 1 gig. With the RAID 5, you get a little bit more back. And the more drives you add to RAID 5, the higher percentage of the hard drive space you get back to be actually able to be used.
Right. I got you. Now, Steve McLaughlin, so you recommend software RAID. Is that what you're saying?
If you go RAID, I say software RAID. I just say to have multiple backups and just use standard disk access. It's just the safest in the long run. It's the easiest for, like, if I get hit by a bus, a different tech to come in and figure out.
So, I mean, in your home, like if you have, family videos, photos, music, you put that just on one drive and just back up the whole drive to its external?
No. What I do, I have it on my computer, backed up to an external hard drive, backed up on my web server, and I took a 250 gig hard drive once a month, back everything up, and take it down to my dad's house.
Sounds thorough. I think a question might arise as to like when you start transitioning from consumer use to business use. I think it's more practical for businesses to use RAID.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because it gives you that fault tolerance.
Right.
Exactly. That and also, it's also backed up instantly.
Yeah, and it has somebody dedicated who can monitor the RAID and work on the RAID.
Right. And then that person could swap out drives pretty easily too. I think.
Oh, it's easy.
Yeah, I think that I would like to try RAID actually. I know it's one of the things I got to put on my list.
I mean, and the other thing is if you buy, you can get a lot of motherboards come with hardware RAID, and unless you're really trying to do it on the cheap, that's probably not a good idea. As opposed to buying a separate dedicated RAID card. But if you buy a dedicated RAID card, usually it comes with like a decent warranty, and you can get like support. So like if you're doing it for a business, obviously you wouldn't do it for yourself, but if you're doing it for a business, if you got a warranty on there, if the RAID card fails, they'll get you another RAID card right away, You
don't think they'll do that for the motherboard?
Well, yeah, I'm sure they would, but I don't know how. I'm sure the RAID, they're used to dealing with the RAID cards and stuff, so it might be quicker and better as opposed to like, because I've seen even like really, really cheap motherboards, like less than $100 motherboards that offer like RAID 5.
Yeah, I see them too. I've never used them, and then you got that added thing, like if you do have to replace your you got to take your whole motherboard out. Where if it's just a RAID card, you can just pop the RAID card out.
Right.
Now the RAID cards, what are they? PCIe? What are they?
Yeah, they're PCIe.
Okay.
And then you just hook them up, and you're good to go.
Okay.
If I was supporting a business and they were going to go with a RAID card, and I would just buy two, and